Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability details of this watch. Today we are discussing a classic from the early 2000s from Chronoswiss during the GR Long era. This is the Timemaster. And as you can see, it is time and it is master in a first, third, 20th century pilot's watch aesthetic. It is a modern watch, and we'll talk about all the reasons why in a moment, but let's talk about fit because fit comes first. It's not as big as it probably looks. Being a 40mm case, it's only 12mm thick, where it really stretches its wings as a pilot's watch, pun intended, is 52.1mm from lug to lug. That's pretty broad. We're going to see it on the wrist in a moment. 20mm is the spacing between the lugs, and if you ever wonder with Chronoswiss, the reference is between the lugs at 6 o'clock traditionally, and then at the top of the dial, 12 o'clock, you have the year and the series numbers. That's how these old GR Long Chronoswiss watches work. You can always tell a lot just by looking at the case. A stainless steel watch. It's neither heavy nor light, but it is a insistent thing. It's got a lot of wrist presence. You can see how broad the lugs are, to the point where I would say, even though this is a 40mm watch, and even though it's fairly thin and will fit under a cuff, I recommend it for wrists no smaller than mine, so 16 centimeters circumference and up. Strap is high grade here. You can see calfskin on the bottom, large rectangular symmetrical scale alligator leather on the top, a very expensive cut of the animal. Matte finish, medium brown, monotone stitch. We've got a sheer cut side lacquered for refinement, no crimping, no gouging. And you can see it is a Jean Rousseau strap. Jean Rousseau makes the OEM straps for, among others, Debatoon and FP Journe. So this is a fine accessory to a fine watch here with Chronoswiss. We have Chronoswiss, the little signed Chronoswiss logo. You can see the C is actually the outermost portion of the emblem, and it is made of steel, just like the watch. You can see B, Brogioli, Southern Switzerland made that component. We have Pastille style lugs, very similar to an old officer's watch, and it does have the aesthetic of a pocket watch converted into a wristwatch. And for a long time, that was how a lot of field watches, aviation watches, and trench watches were made. You would convert a pocket watch to a wristwatch, and even once bespoke purpose-built wristwatches started getting constructed in the 20s, you still often saw this style of lug attached to this style of case with an enormous bulb-style crown, just like the old pocket watches. Now, what we have here is vertical satination with a coined case back and bezel. We do have a no-detent timing bezel. It's actually very smooth and glides seamlessly. It has a limited amount of calibration, but you can approximate the passage of time by referencing the index relative to the hour or minute hand. Although the watch does not have a screw-down crown, and yes, this is actually where the crown sits in its neutral position. It doesn't cinch up flush against the case, but it is 100 meters water resistant. You can see we have screws and bars retaining the strap to the case, which is a nice, expensive, and upscale way to make a luxury watch. No spring bars here. This reduces the chance for a disaster. Costs a bit more, but it's worth it. Now, the crown is a push-down crown, and we have a couple of different functions here. You can see we have a stop seconds function, so you can quickly and easily synchronize the watch to the second against a reference time. And then we have a quick set mechanism, so you could rapidly cycle the date. The dial features tri-Arabic numerals and lovely hands that are a sort of hybrid of broadsword and syringe, all of this drawn from the first third of the 20th century. We'll do a quick lume shot where you can see the watch has absolutely no shortage of lume. And just to draw your attention to this fact, all three hands are luminescent, so you can read seconds as well, but it has a very luminescent bezel index, so you can read against the minute hand quite precisely in the dark. Being steel, automatic, highly water resistant to the point of being swimmable and well loomed, this is a modern sports watch hidden in the body of a vintage aesthetic. Taking a quick look, you can see that there's a little lunette-style index as the counterweight to the seconds hand, but you can see, as we noticed earlier, that is actually a reference to the Chronoswiss logo. Turn it all over. Very simply, this is an ETA 2892A2, and you can see, because instead of straight spokes on the balance wheel, we have these splayed style. This is either a chronometer or a top grade of the movement. That's how you can always tell. Base and élaboré, they are straight spokes. Top and chronometer have those splayed spokes, and usually it signifies a correspondingly higher quality hairspring. So you will notice that there is a disparity between the size of the watch and the size of the movement, but some artful use of engraved movement spacers helps to disguise that. It's a bidirectional winder with a 42-hour power reserve, a 4 Hz beat rate, stop seconds, quick set, 21 pivot joules, and adjusted quite well by the Chronoswiss crew. It is an excellent timekeeper. And then we have the little A at the bottom taking place where you would have seen previously a signature indicating radioactive lume applied. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.